Yeah, the answer is yes. The World Economic Forum is insane, run by a group of elites that is taking away your personal and financial freedoms, and they're just getting started. Now, as Rand Paul said, this isn't a conspiracy. It's actually written down right inside their meeting agendas and their mission statements.
So I'm dead set against this. And they used to call people who talked about one world government, they used to say, oh, it's a conspiracy. And we would always say, no, it's in their mission statement. They say it at every meeting. That's what they're for.
Now, more on that in a second. But first, something happened last week that didn't get a lot of attention in the mainstream media because they were working in lockstep with these billionaires to keep it quiet. So they don't actually cover it in their own press. They actually hide it. And they're hoping that you won't notice. But you're smarter than that because you're a subscriber of this channel, so good for you. Anyway, something happened at the World Economic Forum last week in Davos that should make us all scared, especially if you're worried about your money. And I think most of us are. So pay attention to every word of what they just said. Watch this.
Fast forward 5 years. Do we have a central bank digital coin out there in the world that is being utilized on a daily basis? Whether it's wholesale or retail, and it becomes a superior system? Francois, yes or no?
We have several experiments which are not very far from that. Yeah. They are not yet generalized, but they could be, let's say, the next 3 years.
I am also a believer that will come in 5 years, yes. What I try to say is obviously, we still have those huge legacy environment. They need to migrate as well, so we will not yet see all the benefits coming through, but it will come and will be much more efficient, also probably much more secure.
Did you catch that? Let me play a small part of that again.
They are not yet generalized, but they could be, let's say, the next 3 years.
I am also a believer that will come in 5 years, yes.
The billionaires and bankers that run the world are moving to consolidate power even further by eliminating cash and moving us fully to a centrally controlled digital currency where they can monitor, track, and have their hands in every transaction. Remember during COVID when they freaking told us that cash could actually have COVID on it? So don't use cash. Get rid of your cash. Move to digital. But if you want any information about this, you'll be hard-pressed to find it because all of these big tech companies work right in lockstep with the WEF. Even doing a simple Google search to try and find information on this, you're stuck reading garbage information from the WEF. That's right, almost every search result is from these billionaires. Imagine having that much power that you control every freaking Google search result and push down any dissenting voices to page 3 and 4 and 5 of Google. You can't find it. But it gets worse, and I'll explain that part in a second. But back to the digital currency piece. Instead of reducing their risk, world global leaders are instead making it worse. Listen to this amazing piece of news. The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, recently announced that it sponsored what they called financial war games. Just a little fun game among billionaires. Israel led these war games, and what they did was actually pretty shocking. The games included a scenario where fake news hit the financial markets. Oh no, panic, right? Panic ensues. And then the IMF steps in, right? This is part of the game. And they de-link the major world currencies or decouple them. They basically say, hey, your world currencies suck. We're going to use ours now because you guys are in a lot of trouble. And we're going to take control in one central currency that's not controlled by your governments. So these IMF war games took place 5 months after the World Economic Forum did their own version of these war games. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but did you ever think actually that a group of global billionaires would dictate to all of us that we needed to lock down and force us to take medications that weren't fully tested?
And I'm delighted to moderate today's panel on preparing for the next pandemic.
Yeah, that happened. It's actually still happening. Now, Catherine Austin Fitts worked at the housing department in the year 2000, and she saw the corruption that was happening in the mortgage world among the mortgage fraudsters. She warned us all about it, and no one was paying attention to her. Well, she's warning us again.
We will lose essentially everything that we've ever enjoyed in the Western world. So this is the end of Western liberty, and it cannot be permitted, and it's going to have a major impact. When the World Economic Forum says it's 2030, and you have no assets and you're happy, What I hear, it's 2030. We've stripped you of your assets and you're mind controlled.
What we need to do right now is take control of our own money supply. You and me watching right now. And one way to do that is outside of the globalist cabal who wants to create a one world digital currency. We need to store cash in the form of gold and silver. Just look at what the central banks are doing. Central banks won't let the currency be connected to gold. But they sure as hell want to own as much of it as they can, right? We decoupled the US dollar from the gold standard in the 1970s. Central banks are hoarding gold right now. It affects the supply and the demand of domestic currency because, get this, banks rely on printing more money to buy gold. So thereby they create this excess supply of all of this fiat currency. They print US dollars and then they use US dollars to go and buy gold and to hoard it. Same thing is happening in China. Same thing is happening in Russia. It's happening all over the world. So they're printing money in order to buy as much gold as they possibly can. And because they're printing trillions of dollars, they're driving up inflation, which is crushing you. You notice it in the form of higher groceries, higher gas bills, higher energy costs, etc. We should all be concerned. So what the team at NEV Gold actually told me is because the US inflation right now hitting a 40-year high and the US government continues to print US dollars, they believe we're heading towards a gold super cycle with prices hitting $2,500 for an ounce of gold. Yeah, $2,500 for an ounce of gold. No wonder people are attacking statues and trying to steal gold. This happened yesterday. Look at this headline. 2 million gold tabernacle stolen from this statue in Brooklyn. That's happening. Front page of the Jerusalem Post this morning. So yeah, gold is in demand. So after the IMF did these war games, they have a framework to push for all digital financial control system using CBDCs or central bank digital currencies, which gives them enormous power over you guys. I mean, this is the point here. The team at NEV Gold, they told me that investors right now are flocking to the US dollar against these other currencies. But that's only temporary because the real story is gold. And it makes sense. Why would you want your family's money or your family's future in a paper currency that isn't backed by anything and will be handed over to these central bankers who will move towards a digital structure? Now, gold mining stocks have outperformed physical gold by double digits in the past two gold bull markets. So investing in a company that actually extracts the gold, like NEV Gold, for instance, we were just talking about them, you'd be up year to date while people investing in other stocks have been getting crushed. Now, NEV Gold has a very advanced project right now in Nevada, which is called their Limousine Butte project. It's a 10,000 meter gold mining project. The company is in the midst of a 10,000 meter program, which could yield over 1 million ounces of oxide gold. That's huge. So our big thanks to NEV Gold for sponsoring this video and supporting what we do on this channel to bring you the truth about how these globalist elites are ruining our lives and running the show. You can actually invest in NEV Gold directly as well on the stock exchange. Their stock ticker is NAUFF. I'll put it up here on the screen. And their stock price as of this morning of this publication is 46 cents a share. Pennies to buy a share in this company. I mean, you could literally buy $100 worth of this company at a really dirt cheap price. So look at their stock chart over the past 5 days. It's on the way up very nicely. So their stock continues to rise. And of course, as we have a global supply shortage of gold, this will continue to go up and up. Anyway, protect your family's wealth away from these globalist billionaires. Get educated. So I will have a link below in the description for you to go and read their gold report and linked up to their website so you can learn more about gold production and how much it is in demand right now in the year 2022. I'll see you next time, everyone.